Welcome back. I love this particular topic because I think it's one of the ones that we really kind of think, oh my word, I've got to get myself organized. And we as women, we at least love to feel like we're organized or we're on our way to being organized. And I want to give you just some really simple systems to put into place for your office and your time management, so that you don't feel like you've got Mary Kay all over your whole entire house. You know, I almost lost a potential team member one time, Jenny, because she said to me, she said, well, I knew somebody that did Mary Kay one time, but she said, I went to her house and it looked like a Mary Kay bomb went off. And she had product here and stuff there. And, you know, you really want to feel like you got it together for your family and for people that happen to visit. So we just want to give you some really great strategy for that. And one of the first things that we want to talk about is a weekly plan sheet. Now, if you work for somebody else and you have another full-time job, chances are they plan your schedule and they say, okay, here's when you need to show up to work, clock in, clock out. If you're salaried, you know what kind of hours you work, and as a result, you know what your paycheck is going to be. And in Mary Kay, the very thing that we love, which we get to plan our own time. We have such flexibility. We work when we want to, play when we want to. It can be also the thing that will bite us in the rear if we're not careful, because we can flexible ourselves right out of business and we are all of a sudden having no income. So that weekly plan sheet is huge when it comes to that. Mary Kay always said that we have to work our plan and plan our work, right? And I also love what National Sales Director Pam Shaw says about the weekly plan sheet, because it's just a really simple piece of paper. And she said, sometimes I'm working with new consultants and they go, oh, that weekly plan sheet thing, that just did not work for me. And she goes, you are so right. That is just one piece of paper. It has no blood and no brains. It does not work for you, but you work for it. And so when you plan your Mary Kay time, and maybe it says that you're going to jump on the phone or you're going to hold an appointment, that's what you do, and you don't let other people corrupt you in your life. So I want to just give you a couple of suggestions around that. First of all, set yourself an appointment every single week where you're doing that weekly plan sheet. Now, for some of you, it may look the same every week. For some of you, it is going to totally change based on what's happening and what's shaking. But set that appointment with yourself and include your family in that. Because I think one of the things that derails consultants so many times is they don't sit down with their families and project or plan what's happening that week. And maybe they've never had to in the past. They've been at the beck and call or the whim of whatever is happening that day. But when we want to go different places, maybe with our financial plan or in our family's future, sometimes we have to make some different choices. So sitting down, involving them, asking them what are the things that are important in their week for you to be there for will really help you project that. And what I want to encourage you to do first of all is put on everything on your weekly plan sheet that is not negotiable for you. Your full-time job, your commitments that you have, you know, for your family, for your church, just put everything that you know is already kind of set on there. And then you want to take a look at the windows of opportunity that you have. It might be 30 minutes here, it may be 2 hours there, but that is where you're going to kind of insert your Mary Kay business. And the first question you really have to ask yourself when it comes to your weekly plan sheet is, what do I want to create in terms of income for my Mary Kay business? Because if we don't know what we're working towards, then it's kind of hard to know how to schedule and plan our time. So let me give you, for example, let's say Jeannie needed to create for her family, let's just say she needed about an extra $1,000 in a month. Okay, that's what she was looking for to create in her Mary Kay business. Well, on the back of her weekly plan sheet, I would encourage her to flip that over. And the $1,000 would be her profit that she needed to make. So we're going to double that, and we're going to say she needed to create about $2,000 in sales, right, in order to clear $1,000 in profit. So if we've got 4 weeks in a month, that means that she needs to be looking at about $500 in sales a week, right? And in order to create that, if an average party is between $200 and $300, then that means she is going to look at a place on her weekly plan sheet where she can plug in about 2 parties a week, because that will drive and dictate the need that she has for her family. So you've got to kind of know where you're going in order to project that weekly plan sheet. And you might consider color coding that, and there's some ideas and suggestions there for you on our websites under this particular session. But you could put your Mary Kay time in pink and in green. Your green would be your money-making time when you're holding those classes and facials and appointments. Your pink time may be like this time, where you're receiving education or you're doing something to build your business. You might consider putting your personal appointments in orange, or your family time in yellow, or your spiritual time in blue. Make sure you've got a date night on there with your husband or your significant other or your spouse. And so it also lets you, when you're color coordinating your plan sheet, see that balance and where you might need to create more of that as well. But this is a critical component to your success in your Mary Kay business. If you are not planning it, you'll get to the end of the week, and no doubt we will have been busy, but we'll go, well, I don't really know what happened. And so we need to project it from the beginning.
And you know, we all have the same 168 hours a week. And I'm sure you've probably had those weeks where you're thinking, gosh, I was busy, crazy the whole week long, and I just don't feel like I got anything done. The weekly plan sheet will be your friend. And gang, when I began Mary Kay, I was committed 60 to 70 hours a week in addition to my family. And what I found, because of learning how to use these tools, I actually had more quality time with my family after I began my Mary Kay business, because I learned to prioritize and I learned to say no, and that no wasn't a 4-letter word. And so it made a huge difference. And I want you to know, 23 years into my Mary Kay business, I still do a weekly plan sheet each and every week, because it creates the freedom for me to live the life that I want to live.
There is a lot of freedom and discipline. And I know that's something that may be a new concept, but it is absolutely true. All right, well, next we need to talk about, after we have planned our weekly plan sheet, and I would encourage you, share that with your recruiter, share that with your director, because they want to see that. We also need to talk about how to track our sales that we are having. And you know, if you work for somebody else, they'll track your stuff, right? They track your numbers, they track reports. If you work for you, you track it. And that's just a really simple thing that you can do every single week, is your weekly accomplishment sheet. Now, you're going to want to do this because it's going to provide a great record for you of your sales. It's also important for your tax keeping purposes, and it's going to provide you with some year-to-date totals, and your prizes and recognition a lot of times are based on that weekly accomplishment sheet as well. I would suggest that you submit this online. That's really the easiest thing to do. And when you're on your Mary Kay In Touch website, all the little tabs up at the top, there's one that says resources, and you drop that down to where it says weekly accomplishment sheets, and you submit it online. And I want to encourage you to ask your recruiter, ask your sales director the first couple of times that you do that, if you need some help walking through it. But you're basically going to come in from your classes or your facials or your parties or having reorders or whatever, and you've got your pink sales tickets, and you just pop that in online, and Susie, and this was her total, and here's much time it took me, and this was, it automatically figures the sales tax and that kind of thing for you. And you just do that once a week. You enter it in, and it's totally done.
And so for us, our weeks run from Monday through Sunday, because it will give you that option to choose. And when you enter it at the end of each day, then at the end of the week, all you do is just finish out any totals from that day, and boom, you submit it to your sales director, and it is done. She may also want you to bring a physical copy to the unit meeting for unit meeting recognition, and that's great also. The online weekly accomplishment sheets are what we use for our newsletter recognition. So you want to be sure and submit those online weekly. Even if some weird thing happens and you're gone on vacation and somehow you didn't have any sales, you still want to submit that form, because that's an important part of the documentation. So here's some action steps for this particular segment. First of all, do your very first weekly plan sheet and color code it. And remember to write the things in pencil, because you will find you will be moving them. Also on the back, you might want to write, as you're going through your week, anything that you found that didn't really work so well that you might need to tweak for next week, because this will always be a tool that is evolving as the seasons change, as your life circumstances change. Your weekly plan sheet will change, but you will become masterful at it. It will truly give you the gift of time. And then do your first weekly accomplishment sheets if you've had your first sales. And remember what Beth said, if you have any problems with that, please call your recruiter or your director, bring your pink tickets and your weekly accomplishment sheet to unit meeting, arrange to get there a little bit early, and sit down with them and let them help you. It is such a valuable tool, and once you learn how to do it, it's simple.
All right, so you gotta work your plan your work, you work your plan, and when you do, track what you're selling. And those are two simple things, but oh my gosh, it'll make all the difference in the world for your business. So stay tuned and we'll give you some more simple office building systems.